Welcome to the selection phase of the Oracle Database Developer Choice Awards. This is Todd Tritchler, Developer Outreach Advocate, and I just wanted to thank you for agreeing to help out as celebrity judges, if you will, and just for your time and effort in this process. When you first log into your private space for selecting the finalists, as a judge, please review and read this suggestions for selecting finalists. It's a one-pager. Take the time to check it out and see some ideas in terms of what might be important. The other important piece is to watch this video that you're currently watching. In it, I'll cover some tips for working with your fellow judges and also with us, and also a very important gotcha that you should know about before making any of your selections. And then the third step, examine the nominations, post your comments, and make your selections. Probably the easiest way to do that is just to show you. So I go over here to the nominations section, and I'm going to start with Sun Tzu. The first time you come into your space, you'll notice that there'll be 0 points if none of the other judges have been in that space. And so that's a neutral position. It hasn't had any selections. The first thing you should do is obviously examine the nomination. You can do that by pulling it up in the Read More view, looking at it, Sun Tzu, and then you can examine it and say, this is where you would add your comment as a judge. And you put in your comment. So I loved reading Sun Tzu's work on the art of war. He gets my vote. The other thing you could put in here is links to their blogs, their Twitter handles, anything that would help the other judges understand why you think this person would be a good person to select for the finalists. That's what you could add in as the comments. And after you've put your comment in, then what you're going to want to do is go and say, well, since you think he's a good finalist, you're going to upvote him, and you can add 10 points. So 5 judges per panel. Any one nomination could get a maximum of 50 points. So something to think about here is Hanibal. Let's check out Hanibal. Now, I see here a comment down by John Scott. Says he's my buddy. While he's a mad genius for using pachyderms that way, he lives in Italy and his second home is in Montreal, Quebec. I don't think he's eligible. If you notice somebody that's living in Italy or living in Quebec, please flag them. You guys know these nominations probably better than we do. Flag them in the comments like John did here, and then just send me an email. I have access. I can double check and verify that they're not eligible, and then pull them out. The reason, if you're interested for the Quebec one, is basically if you have competition running in Quebec where those people are eligible, it has to be translated into French. All of the materials, all of the conference website, all the awards, everything. So needless to say, as a global program, we're obviously not translating everything into local languages. And probably Italy is more than likely the same deal, and that legal guys put that in there. So this is probably a good time just to refresh who isn't eligible. Government employees aren't eligible. Any Oracle employees are not eligible. And any Oracle ACE or ACE directors that are serving on any of the selection panels are not eligible to be on the selected nominees list. For the most part, we should have removed these by the time you judges get access to the panels. But if you do see one that you think is a question, please flag it in the comments and send an email to toddtritchler@oracle.com. So first off, when we come to the selection panels and their makeup, I just really want to say thank you to the ACE program. I mean, you guys have come through in flying colors. We put a call out for people to help get the word out, for people to serve on the panels, and we had more than enough. So one of the things about the makeup of the panels, each panel has 5 people, an odd number, and we really did this by design. We wanted this to be driven by the community. That's why there's only one Oracle person on each panel. For example, Marcel's vote carries just as much weight as Stephen's vote in the PL SQL category. So, you know, if you aces feel strongly about a particular nomination, you guys will be the guys putting him through or her through. That said, if it comes down to needing some clarification on a piece of technology, which it probably shouldn't, you do have an Oracle person with direct access to the development team building the product. So we want you guys in the ACE program to take the lead on selecting the finalists. Now would probably be a good time to talk about the makeup of the panels and how we expect you judges to interact with one another. So let's take a look at Alexander the Great, and you see there's 3 comments here. This is really, a couple of you have asked where the conversation between the judges is going to happen. It's really going to happen down here in the comment section. As much as possible, leave the initial nomination untouched, but put all of your information in terms of why you think somebody is a good finalist, or if they're not a good finalist. Put those in the comments here. Now, the nice thing about as you log in individually, as you can see here, my comments all say T. Tritchler at Oracle, whereas, Alex's comments when he logs in will actually have Alex here. So you don't actually have to say, Alex says this. You can just put in your comment there. Marcel disagrees with him and says, he's just another Greek guy. Joan of Arc, she was something special. So after you've made your comments, you can go up and then vote them up or down based upon what your impression is in terms of their nomination. The important thing about the comments that I would really stress is if you give us good detail in the comments, like links to significant contributions or blogs or Twitter handles, stuff like that, we can then add that to the public nomination, because the thing to keep in mind is that you guys know these guys a lot better than the average guy in the street and the average guy in the community is going to know them. So the more kind of detail that we can work into the public nominations when it becomes available, the better off those guys are going to be. So who is a good candidate to put through as your finalists in terms of your selected nominees? Obviously, we're looking for good tone, people who are encouraging and helpful in the public forums that don't necessarily have an abrasive characteristic or are too brutal. It's not just about technical excellence. It's not about being the next Tom Kite, although technical credibility is important. Sometimes the most important content for community building is the 101 level starter content. And it is all about giving back and building a dynamic database developer community. So it looks like somebody's already voted for Genghis Khan. Let's take a look at that. Now Chris, it seems, has voted for Yolba Song, mainly because he thinks he has cool drinking greetings. What happens if Chris changes his mind on Genghis Khan? Even though he advocates technical meritocracy, he is just too brutal in the forums to be a good community contributor. And now he wants to go back and change his vote. Well, here's the gotcha. He can vote Genghis Khan down, but what happens if he just decided, you know what, I'm kind of mixed on him because he did really build a whole empire and create a lot of good things for his people, even though he was very brutal. Maybe I just want to make it neutral. There's no way in this system at the moment of making it back to neutral. So your swing is going to be a 20-point swing if you decide to change your mind. Better to decide beforehand whether you're going to vote somebody up or down and then vote them up and down. If you're neutral on somebody, then you don't have to vote on that person. You can just leave it blank. There's no law that says you as a judge have to vote on every single person. That said, please do put comments on each of the people just so that the other judges know that where you're at and add any helpful information on that.